We're just gonna start like this. It happened. It happened. I am currently 6 weeks, 5 days pregnant. So far, no bleeding. So I really have my fingers crossed because my first pregnancy went into a chemical miscarriage, and I'm very cautiously optimistic. But today's video is going to be about strictly how I knew that I was pregnant before actually testing positive. I always kind of thought that was BS, that people would just say that and then they would be like, oh, I knew I was pregnant. Like, I'm like, girl, no, you didn't. No, you didn't. You needed the lines. You needed the lines. Don't even lie to me. But truly, I actually did know. And I remember because I sat down my husband and I told him, yeah, there's something happening right now that was similar to the last time I was pregnant. So I actually do think that I am pregnant, but I'm going to go ahead and get into it. All my early symptoms, how I knew. And okay, fortunately, when you are trying to conceive, you're going to be over here nitpicking everything. You can sneeze twice in a row when you're trying to conceive and you're during that 2-week wait and you're like, that means I'm pregnant for sure. I sneezed twice. I'm pregnant. That means there's more congestion, whatever. And come on, we just pick anything we can out. We're hypersensitive to our bodies, but truly this sign for me was very, very obvious, and it didn't surprise me when I got a positive. So let's go ahead and get into it. I'm not even going to make you wait until the end like a lot of people do. The way that I knew that I was pregnant was because the first time I was pregnant, I started cramping on day 26 of my period. I usually do not have my period cramps until the actual cycle, either the day before or during my cycle. I'm very, very in tune with my body with that. When I'm on my period, it feels like there's a Tyrannosaurus Rex shark thing in there chewing on my insides. That paint a picture for you. Somebody draw that. But usually my period cramps are very bad, but they just come during that time. The first time I was pregnant, when I lost that with the chemical, I had cramping on day 26, and it wasn't debilitating. It wasn't horrific, horrible pain. It was just obvious cramping, not, I wonder if that was cramping, when you kind of feel like every little twinge is something. It truly felt like period cramps. And when it happened, I knew because that was way too early for me. So if you're very in tune with your body and you notice something like that and it's very out of the ordinary, maybe get yourself a test, because that's what happened to me. So I felt it. I told my husband I'm cramping. I'm pretty sure it's implantation cramping because of how my cycles go down every month. And then 3 days later, I ended up testing positive. So I tested positive at 3 weeks, 6 days, which is really early. Now, what ended up happening as far as my symptoms go? This is the first one. I had the implantation cramps early, right? That was my first symptom. Not very harsh, not very dramatic, just implantation cramps out of the ordinary. The cramps didn't align with my normal cycles. The next symptom was severe cramping. It didn't last very long, but I had severe cramping for a week and a half. And I couldn't take anything or do anything. So I thought for sure something was wrong, because the first one, like I said, ended in a miscarriage. So when you have that track record, you're over here thinking something's going to go down. But the way that they felt, like bad menstrual cramps, they woke me up. They woke me up every night, at least once a night for about a week. And they would just be like this dull ache. At one point, I had to just wake up my husband and have him like rest his thigh on my pelvic region, because I didn't want to put a heating pad because I didn't want to heat the area too much. I didn't want to take anything. I had to raise my legs, and I used an acupressure mat. Let me show you. Hold on. This acupressure mat. So I used this mat, and that actually, for some reason, it really did help relieve the pain. I just laid on it. It added those little spikes to my back. I don't know if it was distracting me by causing a different kind of pain, but I had to find different ways to get rid of it. And I messaged my doctor and I just said, like, this freaking hurts. Everything I read says it's going to be mild. It's not going to be very much. I will say they didn't last very long, like maybe 5 to 10 minutes, and then it would go away and I'd be able to sleep. But it was alarming how much it was hurting, like how painful it actually was for me. So the cramping was not expected. And I for sure thought I was going to be bleeding because I just kept going to the bathroom and checking. Never ended up bleeding. And the doctor said, you know, it's a very subjective symptom. There's a lot happening in your body. Your uterus is stretching. Things are happening. Some people say it's really bad. Some people say it's light. And so it might just be you. So if that's happening to you, It's a little scary, not gonna lie, it's a little bit scary. The next symptom that I had was so much bloating. I didn't realize that you could look 8 months pregnant when you're 4 weeks pregnant. Okay. I was over here going, I can't even, like, my tops don't feel like they fit right. My stomach is so distended. It's just like pushing out into this basketball. It was like I ate 15 pounds of Brussels sprouts and then chased it with a cherry Coke. It was just this horrible bloating. And I'm going, I see all these little Instagram girls and they're just so cute with their flat stomachs. They're like, it's 4 weeks. And they just have these flat little stomachs, these perfect little side photos. And I'm going, how big am I gonna get? Because I already feel freaking massive. My pants were already tight. Everything was tight. And I will say as a disclaimer, they did put me on progesterone suppositories because I did have that chemical miscarriage. So I'm thinking that the progesterone every morning and every night to support the pregnancy. I was inserting more hormones into myself, so that could have been why I was having so much bloating, but it was uncomfortable. It's still uncomfortable. There is a reason why this camera shot is from here up, because the stomach looks not 6 weeks along, ladies. It doesn't. It looks very extreme. So the bloating was definitely one of the first symptoms within the first 5 weeks. That was pretty intense for me. Still is. I'm wearing some baggy clothes already. I don't know where this is headed. Baggy clothes. And it's summer. I'm struggling a little bit. Yep, struggling. It's not hoodie weather. Struggling a little bit with the bloatiness. Next, okay, this one may be a little bit of a cop out. I'm really moody. I'm very moody. One day I'm super happy. Next day I am ready to fight the lady that cut me off in traffic. I am just up and down and here and there. And I know there's a lot of hormones in me, but I'm also wondering, okay, am I letting myself be moodier because I know there's a lot of hormones in me, or am I actually moodier because of the hormones? This is me trying to analyze if I'm choosing violence. or if the hormones are actually causing it. So there is a lot changing with my body. So I'm just going to kind of go with the hormone thing. Just ups and downs. At work, I would have to go sit myself in another room sometimes because I'm like, oh, I am a hair trigger away from saying stuff. So the hormones and the moodiness, again, with a grain of salt, I should give myself a free pass because things are happening in my body. But that was another symptom, was just that. This next one was probably kind of expected, but sore breasts. I do have sore breasts. It's a little bit alarming because one moment they're sore, the next moment they're not. One moment they're sore, the next they're not. So they're just kind of playing chicken with me. I went to go lift and I went to go do some back rows and I pushed myself up against the machine and I was just like, oh no, we can't do that. So just very, very sore and starting to enlarge. So I'm starting to see that, increase in breast size already. I don't know if it's because I'm bloated or if the soreness kind of makes them swell, but everything is just feeling very swollen and tender. So the breast soreness, I was kind of used to that because that was a period symptom that I would regularly have, but that tenderness is no fun. And that was one of the first symptoms. Now, things that I expected but have not happened. I am not tired. I am still able to lift whatever I typically lift at the gym. Nothing's really changed there. I'm not nauseous at all. I'm not throwing up at all. I'm not having any cravings. I'm not having any food aversions. I'm not having any headaches. That was with my first one, the chemical one. I did have a headache. I'm not having any insomnia. Nothing like that. Nothing that's actually like hindering my daily life. The cramps after about a week and a half, they subsided. Now I don't even really have cramps anymore. So as far as like the ones that you would expect, how people say, oh, I started eating so much, or I started having these aversions, or I felt like this, like that, nothing extreme. Nothing where it's like the movies where you're like throwing up in a garbage can at work. It's just the cramps were the main one. The bloating was huge for me. And the breast tenderness, I think, were like the main ones. Obviously, I talked about a few there, but none of the other ones. And a lot of the times I do feel normal. Like I said, I have to see how this pregnancy is going to go because it is still very early. So I'm really not sure yet. And I'll get into that in a different video, but that's where I'm at. I feel pretty great other than feeling a little bit heavier very early, which again, I don't know how much I'm going to gain if we're already here, but overall it's not too bad. So those are my early pregnancy symptoms. That's how I knew I was pregnant, and I'm just gonna have to see how this goes. I am, like I said, I'm excited cautiously. It's kind of sad, but once you've had one loss, it kind of robs you a little bit of full excitement, because if you find out you're pregnant and then you carry to term, then you're trained to think, oh, like those pink lines mean that I am having a child. It has proven itself to you. But when you've seen those pink lines and then 4 days later, everything falls out of you, you kind of have trust issues with it. Like you get your positive and then you're side-eyeing it like, are you going to stay? I do consider myself a good landlady. I really take care of my body. I'm great. I can have a tenant here. I'll give you all the vegetables and fruits, but you can't, it's so sad. Like you can't fully get excited, because even though it's just been one loss, like you're already mentally in defense mode to kind of protect yourself if it happens again. I can't even fathom like the people that have continuous pregnancy loss, like how you feel with that. It must be like your mentality must be, when is it going to end? Not, is it going to be successful? So a little messed up there, the first one. Trying to be excited. Took me a while to come on here and even talk about my pregnancy symptoms. So fingers crossed. I'm hopeful. Yeah. And again, this is actually not that bad. This is actually pretty good. I'll take some really bad cramps. I'll take them. I'll take some really bad cramps and some bloating over throwing up in a trash can. So yeah, those are my pregnancy symptoms. Just wish me luck, guys. Just wish me luck. Thanks.